Okay, everybody, here we go. This is Garrett, Tears to Joy Ministries.org. Let's go back to King David. Let's go back to one of the Psalms. This video is Psalm 139, 17, and 18. And this is beautiful. This is encouraging. This is important to learn. This is so important. If the Christian church could only learn everything King David knew, if we could only do that, that would be incredible. But let's bypass that talk. Psalm 139, 17, and 18. Let's read it first before we dissect it. King David says, and he's talking to God. And he says to God, "How precious are your thoughts about me, O God? They cannot be numbered. I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand. And when I wake up, you are still with me." Is that beautiful? Is that good news? Is that motivating? Is that encouraging? Now let's dissect this though. The man who wrote this psalm was a murderer. He killed many people. He committed adultery. He broke commandments of God left and right. He was a deceiver, a liar, a fornicator, and on and on and on and on. Who are we talking about? King David. King David's a murderer, killing people, having sex with multiple women. You weren't supposed to do that. Stealing someone else's wife. You weren't supposed to do that. Killing her husband. You weren't supposed to do that. And then trying to trick everyone about it, trying to deceive everyone. You weren't supposed to do that. In fact, you weren't supposed to do a whole lot of what King David did. And with King David doing all of this evil, all these mistakes, fulfilling all of these fleshly desires and demonic actions, what does David say about God one more time? What does he say about God? Psalm 139, 17. David says about God, to God, "How precious are your thoughts about me?" You see, God had revealed to King David that he has nothing but wonderful thoughts about him. And King David had learned this, and most Christians don't know this. God only has precious thoughts about you. Then David says they cannot be numbered. Do you realize God has so many good thoughts about you that they can't even be numbered? Yes, you. Yes, good thoughts about you. Then David says in verse 18, "I can't even count them." Do you realize the revelation that King David is getting here from God? God is teaching King David that I have so many precious and wonderful thoughts about you, my son, that you can't even count them. I have so many. You can't even count them. Then David tells us something shocking. David says, they outnumber the grains of sand. Do you realize how many beaches there are in the world? Do you realize how many islands there are in the world that have sand? Do you realize how small a grain of sand is? Can anyone on earth count how many grains of sand there is on planet Earth? And David is saying here that God loves you so much, that you are so precious to God, that God has so many wonderful thoughts about you, that you can't count them, and that they outnumber the grains of sand on planet Earth. Is that shocking? Are you learning something here? Are you learning that you can't even count how many wonderful thoughts that God has about you? You can't count them. And if all of that wasn't enough, let's look at what else King David says. And when I wake up, you are still with me. But you might be thinking, well, Garrett, I was looking at pornography last night. I understand, but God has so many wonderful thoughts about you. They can't be numbered. And when you woke up today, Jesus is still with you. But you might be thinking, well, Garrett, you don't understand. I'm married and I had sex last night with someone else. And I'm here to tell you, God loves you so much. He has so many incredible thoughts about you. They outnumber the grains of sand on planet Earth. And when you woke up today, Jesus was still with you. But you might be thinking, Garrett, you don't understand. I got cancer last month and I'm really, really angry at God. But I'm here to tell you that even though we get angry at God sometimes, He has so many wonderful, incredible, precious thoughts about you. They outnumber the grains of sand on planet Earth. And when you woke up today and you were angry at God, Jesus is still with you. Isn't this incredible? Stop beating yourself up, Christians. God thinks only wonderful things about you, only loving thoughts about you, only precious thoughts about you, and they outnumber the grains of sand on planet Earth. And when you woke up, He's still with you. God is not angry at you. He's thinking wonderful things about you. God is not disappointed in you. He's thinking precious thoughts about you. God is not upset with you. He's thinking intimate, adorable things about you. God is not frustrated with you. He's thinking magnificent, glorious things about you. And they outnumber the grains of sand. And when you woke up today, He was still with you. He's still with you. He's still with you.